All right, so we are here today with Vanessa from USARK and Gary of Constricted and Addicted, a great supporter of USARK, and of course, Angel Caro and Kurt. And we wanted to put this show together today, and we really appreciate you guys being here because Kurt had this idea after watching wonderful Gary do his USARK giveaways to do a monthly USARK bronze membership giveaway. And when we started it at our Pac Northwest July show, and we were blown away by the number of people that had no idea what USARK was. We would say, we're giving away a USARK bronze membership, and they would either say, I don't know what that is, or I'm already a member. What is it? And then they weren't really a member. They just thought they were a member. So we're here to spread some awareness and build some more community and talk about USARK. And that's it. Hang out.
I want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to piggyback on what you said because it's kind of alarming and almost frustrating to the point where when you are at a reptile show where people really should know about USARK and they tell you they've never even heard of it. And I was with Vanessa at the Sacramento show and we were talking to a guy that was doing venomous and had no idea about USARK. And at that point in time, didn't have any interest of USARK. And it just kind of blows my mind. I'm passionate about USARK. I believe in USARK. So that's why I, stand the ground that I do with USARK. And I wish people knew more about it. And I think this is a great avenue in helping to help people understand. Because I can be vocal and I can be sometimes downright rude about it. My theory is if you own a reptile, you should have a USARK membership, but that's just my opinion. And that's because I love USARK and I believe in it.
So
and we appreciate that, Gary.
To piggy on that as well, we're just jumping on everybody. It's great because we all have this passion for USARK. We have this passion for it, and it's 100% correct. Letting people know about USARK. That's the start. And a lot of people, they'll be like, oh, they'll be like, okay, like you'll talk to, or you'll say USARK, and you kind of like, people will, they'll be like, oh no, I understand, and maybe it kind of goes in and out without understanding how important USARK is, how much work USARK goes through, how much. I mean, I've been in a hobby a really long time, before USARK, and it's definitely something that what we do, definitely something that we need. We need it. We need it. I don't have, let's be honest, none of us have time to do all that work on our own. We don't have the time, the resources, the people, but to be a small part of that, helping that larger, the larger collective is what we should be doing because we're all involved. We're all connected in one way or another, whether or not you're doing frogs or parrots or, ball pythons. It doesn't matter. The point is, depending on where you are in the country, everything's different and things can change slowly, and all of a sudden what you've been doing for the past 10, 15, 20 years, all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. And you can't do anything about it. And that's what happened to me. That's why I'm a huge supporter of USARK. Like in New York, 20 years ago, the law, no pythons and boas. I couldn't do it. I left. I just left New York because I couldn't do what I had to do there. So I moved to Washington where I can. And at that time, I was going to ask, because I don't remember how long USARK has been around, but it was probably like 99, 2000, 2001 when they passed in New York, and they just across the board said no boas, no pythons, and just it hit a lot of people, and it really, really sucked. And at the time, whether USARK was around, again, I don't remember, but if USARK as big as it is now, we probably would have been able to fight that back then.
Absolutely. USARK's been around about 13 years now. So it's not newer, but it's not, it's still newer in a sense, in the hobby. And spreading word is absolutely the hardest thing for USARK. Like Gary said, we've worked a show together and he was giving out free memberships. And we literally were like, begging people to take the free membership. Like it was so heartbreaking. But then Gary got to see what USARK does at these shows and how we have to sit there and not very combative per se, but it's like we literally have to like try to get people to come over to our booth and explain to them what USARK is. And some people get upset because they think we're the bad guys. And so we have to explain to them we're not the bad guys, we're the good guys. Because everybody thinks that there's always this like political back behind it and that, you know, we're up to no good, those kinds of things. We're not. We're actually what we say we are. We're there to fight for your rights of responsible keepers. We want to make sure that we're proactive in trying to make sure that things don't get passed so that we can continue to have reptiles in our homes, continue to have reptile shows, and have big parts of our family. They're huge parts of our family. And a lot of people don't realize that because they're so used to the dog and cat standards, you know, but there's more than just dogs and cats. There's reptiles, there's animals, there's birds. There's so much more to animals than people realize. So yeah, I appreciate you guys for all knowing what USARK does. It is very hard to spread the word. We don't have a very big team. We're definitely a smaller team, but we definitely hammer out a lot more than people realize being a smaller team. But we need more people involved. And that's where we need more collectiveness in the community. And it's absolutely free to get the newsletter. You can sign up for our newsletter free. You can get alerts on Facebook and Instagram for free and our YouTube channel for free. And you can become a member for $40 for a year. And you get a free t-shirt with that. For $40, you get a free t-shirt and a membership for a full year. Yeah. So, I mean, it's huge. Yeah. And for being around for 13 years, I mean, I'm sure you guys have seen more and more keeps coming at us, more and more. And there's a lot that comes down to USARK. There's a lot to USARK that people don't realize. But we're stronger in numbers. That's the biggest thing. We need to have numbers. We need to grow numbers. We need to work together as a community and grow those numbers so that when we go up against something, we can say, hey, we have X amount of people who are ready to go, you know, against these bigger politics, against these big legislative issues that come up. So,
and I think going along with your growing our numbers, I think a lot of times when we think of USARK, we think of just the breeder side, but there are so many keepers out there. I mean, and getting them involved in having a membership too. I think keepers often don't even think about it because that's what we meet at the shows and the I don't know what that is. So getting the word out there and having more.
It's explained. Sometimes I think it's that part, you know, it's the, oh, you know about USARK and like you kind of get that door open, but then don't want to like take so much of their time. Like it's hard to like get it wrapped up really quick, explain what's going on, what, you know, what it's for, why we do this. And I'm talking about like, again, I'm talking about like the keeper, you know, like the keeper isn't, I'm not gonna say they're not as affected as we are as, you know, as breeders, but you know, the normal keeper is gonna be like, ah, you know, whatever. Like they might not think so much about it, but when, if you're a keeper like Gary, who has an amazing collection that he, you know, he takes very, I mean, these are your babies, like this, and that's how we should treat them anyway. The point is, whether you're a breeder or a keeper, it doesn't matter. Like there are babies to take care of them, but the point is, there are things that can change that for us, you know. And again, I mentioned this because I'm a person who was affected by this years ago and had to like upend my life just because I want to do this. And it's not that I'm trying to breed. I wasn't trying to breed like crocodiles in Brooklyn. Like it was very simple. Like, but again, a ball python all of a sudden I couldn't even have in my home, let alone be a breeder. So, and at the time there were other organizations, but I don't think they had as much momentum. You know, I don't think they had as many resources. And I remember the early days of USARK. There was a lot of like getting it going, and a lot of us were like, yeah, you know, let's. I'm gonna join. Like it sounds good. And I do remember people saying, I don't know. It sounds like they're just asking for money. It was a whole thing, but I could tell you, like, if you've been around and you've seen USARK for the past few years, you know the impact. You know, and that's just me personally. It's a personal thing. I've seen the impact. I've seen what USARK has done in other states. The fact that there is a whole USARK just for Florida alone has to tell you that we need this. And you know, whether it's a membership or whether it's putting a couple flyers on your table at a show, You know, take 2 minutes. One person, you get one person. That's more than we had yesterday.
Exactly. And spreading the word. Yeah. It doesn't take anything. It's free to spread the word, and it's free to volunteer too. As Gary knows, I started off with a volunteers USARK because I believed in it. I own a pet shop and reptiles are dear to my heart. I have bred, you name it, I have bred. I've been in this industry for 25 years now, and I was looking for a volunteer opportunity, and USARK just happened to be in my hometown. And then I started showing up more shows and showing up at more shows. And then I was like, all right, you guys are stuck with me. So, and then I became their administrative director. And now I'm working on helping USARK grow more and more and more because we need to grow. We now have a social media person. We have other people to help with us, making sure that nothing slips underneath the radar. But that's also where the keepers and the breeders and the hobbyists all come in helpful too. I've had people send me stuff that we didn't even have on our radar that I pass along so that we can make sure that it's on our radar. We're a smaller collective group, but we can only do so much. So when something comes up, if something brings that up to us, that definitely helps us out too. The more eyes on things, the better. And the more people we have in different states, which would be amazing if we had like representatives in each state, but it's hard because people have jobs and they have other things to do as well, would be phenomenal. Like Gary he'll represent California, and then he goes out to Washington and stuff too to help out and whatnot. We're actually going to work on getting tables, at the shows for Gary to go to. So he doesn't have to walk around with shirts and stickers and swag. We'll put him at a table so you can like corner him in and have chats with him. But yeah, it's all about that. And that's where we start, with at shows. We're in front of our audience right there at shows. I want to work on getting more pet stores involved. Pet stores should definitely be involved, especially if they carry reptiles. There's so much growth that can happen. We just have to figure out how to get that growth to happen. And that's where I'm coming in. I'm trying to make sure that growth starts happening more. So, and I'm sure you
accessibility is everything. Accessibility is everything. And I want to say, right, like, I think it starts with USARK. I believe I remember when Vanessa became the administrative director, because I've been buying people USARK memberships for a long time. And I was emailing and texting through the social media platforms. I could not get anyone to respond to me. But as soon as Vanessa came on board, all of a sudden, now USARK's responding. And she's been amazing as far as accessibility, information. You have questions. For me, Vanessa has been there every time, and she's just been so accommodating. But then that comes to us too, as members, as I'm a member of USARK. And like I said earlier, I believe in USARK. I have no problem sitting in the trenches. And I've learned a lot by, Vanessa sends me a bunch of pamphlets and, stuff to take to shows. And it's actually a really good thing to walk around and go to the vendors' tables, because I cannot tell you how many vendors' tables I've gone to and dropped pamphlets and said, "Are you a USARK member?" And they sit there and they look at me and they look up and they look down and they think, "I think we are." Well, you are or you aren't. It's that simple. I know when my USARK membership is due. I know these things. So if you have to think about if you're a USARK member, chances are you're probably not. And this is when we go to shows and we're watching this brand new person walk around with a brand new reptile and a deli cup, and you stop them and ask them, "Are you familiar with USARK? Do you know what USARK does?" And they say no. That should have started at the breeder's table. When they sold that M, they should have been, are you a USARK member? This is what USARK does. At the bare minimum, give them a pamphlet. Give them something so they have some literature, so that the next time they go to a reptile show and they run into us, they can say, oh yeah, I remember. I bought a reptile at the last show I went to and I got a pamphlet from you guys. Even that alone helps out. And I had a whole bunch of other things I was going to jump on right now, because just listening to everybody, I think, but like I said, it's really about being in the trenches and making contact with people. And the breeders, the breeders really have the first start. Oh, that's what I was going to say. USARK, the United States Association of Reptile Keepers. How many bills have we seen come up where USARK doesn't go, well, we're not going to protect the frogs and we're not going to protect the farm animals. They blanket everything underneath and they fight for every animal, even though it is reptile specific. But USARK goes much farther than reptiles. If there is a bill that USARK finds that has some sort of detriment to any sort of exotic, or I'm learning also now, farm animals, domesticated animals, USARK doesn't exclude them. They include them in the bill. They fight for them, and they protect all animals' rights. So, anyways.
Yeah, we don't single things out, because if it starts somewhere, it's going to end up in reptiles too. Just like state to state, just because it's not in your state doesn't mean it's not going to come to your state. So it works the way with animals. If it involves fish, it might involve reptiles at some point in time. If it's in New York, it might end up in California. So just because it's not in your state doesn't mean it may not come your way. And it's always good to share that information, because I'm sure we all have friends in pretty much every state. I mean, let's be brutally honest. So there's no reason not to share those alerts or to help spread awareness, which is one of our hardest things to do. You would think when we put an alert out, we literally take the crazy jargon that's thrown at it. We make it to where it's as simplified as possible. I mean, sometimes you can't get it super simplified. And then we put an alert out. You want to know how many hits we get on that? Barely any. And that's concerning, extremely concerning, because we're trying to help. We're trying to make sure that the word gets spread, and we're trying to make sure that we put it so it's easier for everybody to help us make sure that things don't pass. So when you see those alerts, please share, hit send, or send the emails, make those phone calls, whatever we're asking for. We're not doing it for just, I don't want to say the word poop and giggles. Don't want to cuss on here, but like, everybody does know I have a little bit of a sailor mouth, but I try to be professional for sure. I guess as kids say, sugar and giggles. But yeah, make sure to help spread the word. That's what we need help with. And I know Gary does a great job with that for us, sharing every alert that we can, and then writing up your own part of it too. That helps as well. So. And then pet stores, Gary, that, you brought up that, breeders and keepers should be handing out brochures. So should pet shops. We're getting the education. We're talking to these customers about these pets. There's no reason we shouldn't give them brochures or information. And you can get those online from USARK. We have an online store where you can order brochures. You can order those types of things now and get them sent directly to your store. And we're happy to send those out too.
For us, one of the most difficult parts that we have trying to relay USARK's message to people is giving them like the 10-second rundown of what USARK does, the hook, if you will. Do you have any recommendations for that?
Well, I mean, you really got to think that with humans, we have like 30 seconds before they stop listening.
Squirrel. Yeah.
We all have it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
we all have squirrel syndrome. So I literally tell people that USARK, United States Association for Reptile Keepers, is for responsible keepers. And we're the ones that fight for your rights to make sure that reptiles are in your home. You can keep reptiles, that we keep pet stores open, and we keep shows like this, because I'm usually at shows like this continuing. Without USARK, we would have none of this. But then when I have like kids, I'll have a different conversation with, do you know what USARK is? No. I'm like, do you like having a pet bearded dragon? Yeah. And I'm like, well, USARK makes sure that happens. So you got to know your audience too, who you're talking to. And then kids are like, oh, okay. And then they want a free sticker, those kinds of things. So that's, how I entertain with the kids. Plus I have a whole bunch of my little herpers that follow me around at shows. I was up to 13 at one show, and I finally had to be like, okay, you guys all have to go back to your booths for a tidbit. So get some work done. But yeah, it starts with the kids. It definitely starts with the kids and with the adults. But yeah, so it just depends on what audience. But the biggest thing is that I want people to be aware that without USARK, we wouldn't have these reptiles, and I know that there's some states that you can't have certain things and whatnot, but it happens, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that USARK didn't try, or it might have been something before USARK. And I wish people would understand that a little bit better too. So that's a lot of what Phil does. Phil's more of the politics side. So that guy is a walking encyclopedia of everything that's happened in the past. It's crazy. He'll be like, in 1982. And I'm like, what? Okay. So yeah, Phil's the guy for that kind of stuff. But yeah, he'll walk people through and be like, this is why this went through, and this is why, we haven't been able to do anything with it, yada, yada, yada. So it's not that we want things to pass. It's that some things just, have gone back in the day. Like Angel had said, it's stuff that has happened before that, could be brought up at some point in time again. Absolutely. But that would mean that, we would have to have a bigger organization and more people involved to be able to go after things like that and change things like that. It's just like with any, legislation, with anything, you got to make sure you're ready to go up against things like that.
I'm going to share a real quick story, like Vanessa was talking about with kids, right? And we do have to alter our conversations about how we pitch, quote unquote, USARK. But I was talking to a couple of 19-year-olds at the Sacramento show earlier this year. And in conversation, they're telling me about all the bearded dragons and the ball pythons. I mean, I think she was up to 19 or 20 reptiles. And it started as the, hey, we're having a great conversation here about reptiles. Now that we're in deep about that, have you heard of USARK? And once I started, that was the hook for me. We were just really, really passionate about talking about reptiles and our collection and the relation that we were having. But that's when I got to slip into USARK, and I got to buy them. I take that back. They bought it. I offered them a $40 membership. And she said she was going to take it, but then she said, you know what? No, I can do it myself. I'll buy it. And I thought that was great, because hadn't we started talking about our reptile collection in the first place, and that's what I like to do. How many reptiles you have at home? And it's not to find, to get that sinker. And it's like, oh, right on. Well, this is what I keep. We start talking, and then you start talking about USARK, because at that point, I hope that you're as passionate about your animals as I am. I love my retics. I love my lizards. I love everything that I have. And I think it takes special people to own these animals, whether it's a gecko or it's an Asian water monitor. It takes a special person. And I think if you value and love your animals as much as we do, then carrying that message of what USARK does should be fairly easy to do. And, I understand that not everybody has $40 a year to spend, but there's a $5 membership. There's a free membership. You don't have to go the distance with the money side, but I'll tell you what, reptile owners, there's correct me if I'm wrong, Vanessa, 5 million people in the United States have reptiles, right? Most of these households have more than 2 reptiles in them. And what do we have? Like less than 50,000 USARK members? You can correct me. I'll finish up. But, what I'm saying, my point is that
that's a generous number. That's a very generous number.
So that tells us right there that we really, as keepers, as members, people that love our animals, we need to be more passionate about telling people about USARK, And it's like I said, even if it's not the money thing, get them to have the free newsletter that comes out. Because I'll tell you what, we don't have any real strict reptile rules here in California. But like Vanessa said earlier, once these states start doing that, it becomes a monkey see, monkey do. That has nothing to do with looking into further knowledge. It has everything to do with, Missouri just did it. We should do it too. We don't know why Missouri did it, but they did it. Sounds like a good idea. Great, let's do it. But thankfully, Phil catches stuff like that. He makes it extremely palatable for us. Like, if I can understand it, anybody can understand it. I have less than an 11th grade education, okay? Phil makes it extremely easy for me to understand. And it's that simple. I mean, we've got somebody in our corner fighting for us, giving us the information. Gosh, they're doing the legwork. If you really, truly know about USARK, you go to the website. They've done everything. You can simply copy and paste, put it into your own email, and send it off. It's that simple.
Yeah, those templates are
question that I'm asking all
super
the time.
helpful. They really are. Templates are wonderful because I'm somebody who'll start writing something and it takes forever because I want to make sure it's perfect. So having certain templates to either even if I wanted to rewrite, I got it's in front of me and it's helpful, or you can just kind of copy paste, sign it, and send it in. It's a step forward. That's what it is. It's another name. It's another signature. It's another. It doesn't even take long. It takes minutes.
Yeah, it doesn't take long at all. The work's all done for you. And it doesn't matter if you edit, copy, paste, in all honesty. It's just showing them that we have people. Here's how many people. If their inboxes get loaded with 250 emails with the same subject line, we know they're not reading them all. Let's be honest. But they're seeing 250 emails come through with the same subject line. They're like, oh, okay. They're serious. They are not okay with this. And yeah, Phil does all the back end work. It's this, he shows me the stuff that comes to him and I'm like, huh, come again. I even sometimes I'm like, oh God, I'm lost on it, but yeah, we make it so that it's easy, super, super easy. Thank you for saying that too. That's
One of the other things I wanted to say is that this is a question that I guess get asked a lot is okay, I live in California. How do I help a law that's being passed in Louisiana, right? Simply by being a member.
Yep.
The larger our base is, the stronger we are when Phil goes in and fights these bills. Like I said, you got 3+ million reptile owners in the United States and less than 50,000 USARK members, and it looks kind of silly. So by being a member, you are helping out in states that you don't even live in.
Yep, exactly. And then spread the word. Again, if you know people that are in that state,
that's 100%.
Send it to your friends that are in that state because they might not see it,
Absolutely, because when you say, oh, there's 3 to 5 million reptile keepers in the United States and less than 50,000, I believe the reason is because people don't know. And if they do know, they know. Like they don't really know. And I think that is it. Again, it is about getting information out there, and like Gary says, making it palatable. Because you can get wordy. Like I can get real passionate and be like USARK, and then I'm not for people, but it's a thing. Like you get passionate about it because we understand how important it is. How else can we spread it? When you're talking about pet shops. Pet shops are probably the best places because you'll get a reptile at a show maybe, but then you go to the pet shop to get the food. You're gonna go to the pet shop to get the supplies maybe. You're gonna go to the pet get maybe you broke something and you need a new something, whatever. You're gonna run to the shop. You're not gonna wait till the next. So while you're at the shop owner's like, oh, you're getting this you have a snake? Oh, cool. USARK. Like these are the things that should happen now. How many pet shops? No. How many pet shops are doing things like that? Do you, and I don't want to like overstep and say like what USARK shoe. I just remember being in I worked in retail and I also worked in veterinary for a long time, and I was a buyer, and I bought the items in the medical, the medicine and the medical products and all that stuff for the hospital, and that would come in once a week, a different rep. I'd always getting these reps coming in, and they would visit and they would talk and leave all these pamphlets and stuff. And as you're talking about, I was wondering, like, do USARK members do that? Do they target an area and go shop to pet shop? Like, is there someone that will do that? Like a sort of a representative that will go out. And I'm not saying this is, I don't know. It was just something that popped in my head because it reminded me of the reps that would go from, hospital to hospital, saying, oh, this is the new product. Here's the pamphlet. Here's the information. If you have any questions, we said. And I just remember that thing of them always coming in with more and new information. And I was wondering, I just thought about that for shops, even the big retail places that people don't, have certain things about pet smarts and so on. Have a table there with USARK or someone go. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. It's like that where that foot traffic, that pet foot traffic, the people are going in and out of these can see and talk and answer, have questions answered. Too much. I'm sorry.
So that's actually fun. No. That's funny that you bring that up. So that's actually my 2025 goal. Something that I have tasked myself with. it's actually a double-edged sword. So I grew up in a small country town where I had no history. So I can't tell you the 50 United States. So I have decided to get one of those maps, and I'm going to look up reptile and pet shops per state. And then I'm going to start sending emails out to them and call them and educate them on USARK. So then I can learn the 50 United States at the same time as spreading the awareness and the word about USARK. And when I'm traveling next year, I'm actually going to start trying to take a day or two early to go out and go visit some pet shops personally, do some reels, do some filming, do some cool stuff so that we can get a little bit more social edge to USARK as well. So you're going to see a lot more of that coming next year. And it's going to be a lot of fun, I'm hoping. So I've got to start a schedule. That's my next goal, is a schedule, podcasting schedule, a webinar schedule for USARK. So if you know anybody that would be interested in doing webinars, have them send me messages, because I want to get some webinars, some educational webinars going out, show things like how to set up this, or, some, veterinarians, those kinds of things. I want to make sure that we're spreading the awareness that way and getting more people involved in a different way. So it's not always about the money. I know that a lot of people think that it's about the money. Obviously, USARK does need money to be able to, fight for things. It's not cheap by any means. But again, awareness is absolutely huge. So that's what I've tasked myself with 2025, is to grow and grow USARK in a different way, hopefully. So cross your fingers. And I get to learn the 50 United States all at the same time, which is super exciting.
Yeah.
I think that sounds fantastic.
I actually, when the Lacey Act reared its ugly head a couple of years ago, I had created a pamphlet, and I put it in front of, I believe, Vanessa and Phil, and we doctored it, and I took it to the reptile and pet stores around here where I live, and they were not interested in it. And I was really blown away that I don't know if it was because it was just outside paraphernalia. They didn't know what USARK was, but I remember going into PetSmart in particular, and they told me I could not put those flyers in their store. I was about ready to stand outside and hand them out. That's how upset I was. Here's another thing.
You too, Gary.
Here's another thing that I do, and I do education. I do the local county children's fairs within the 2 counties that I live in. I do Girl Scout events. I even do church events. And I will take USARK flyers and put them out on my table. And I get people that ask, what is USARK? Because at that point, I'm not really there talking about USARK. The kids want to see reptiles. They want to see big reticulated pythons. But in that interim, I have the paraphernalia out. And if I get asked, oh, trust me, you're going to get it. You're going to hear USARK while you're getting pictures with Emma. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ways that we can distribute the message of USARK. We have to be creative about it. And I think each one of us, like me, for instance, I think my internet went out when I was talking about this, but I'm getting ready to do another USARK video. And I was going to talk to Vanessa about this later, but I want to do, just because, one video does not constitute 100% of awareness. It's great for about 2 weeks. It falls off the map. It's pinned on my Instagram stuff, so people can see it when they go to my profile. But when you're constantly doing fresh and you're constantly involving people that have not been in your previous videos, I think that alone, I think Kurt and Nikki, you guys were in my last video, and you were not USARK members yet at that time. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think I said, well, in order to be in the video, I prefer that you guys are USARK members. You guys jumped on it so fast because you wanted to do that video with your USARK shirt. So, but that to me is like, that is another thing. It doesn't cost anything. It's just creativity, right? Like, I've got GoPros and iPhones, and I am not the greatest editor. I am not the greatest film person, but if I can involve a bunch of people spreading what USARK does in like a really eye-catching and palatable video, I like that word today, by the way, palatable, then I'm going to do it, and we're going to put it out there, and I'll continuously do it just to keep it out there. You know what I mean?
I think one of the things you guys said about having the keepers or the breeders share when somebody comes up to your booth. I think that is so key in spreading awareness. And I think for us, like we have our little raffle basket that we started in July, and that really opened it up for us being able to, when everybody came up to our table, just have a quick conversation about what USARK was, whether they were interested in a snake at our table or not, or just coming up just to say hello, but to be able to spread that awareness. But then thinking about it, you guys have me thinking like we could do little goodie bags, because Vanessa sent us the wonderful pamphlets and stickers, and we could have little goodie bags that go home with the snakes or go with the kids when they go, because lots of times you're so overwhelmed when you're at an expo that used to go home and just look at the stuff after I got home. So thinking about things like that. But just even this, like to do our little raffle thing, is only $40 for us. One show, $40, right? Like that is a small thing that we can do that turns into a big thing with the more people that know. And we've got a lot of names in here.
Exactly. And the more you see USARK at shows, the more people question it. So setup day.
Yes.
I love setup day when I see people all in USARK shirts. I go and give them all high fives. I'm like, great shirt, because then people are like, oh, what is USARK? But again, it comes down to, so our table, I mean, you've seen our table. It's not very inviting. We don't have cool animals. We have shirts. We have Phil and me. We have our volunteers. So it's hard to get people to engage. And you don't want to be the table that's like, do you know what USARK is? Because then people are like, what is she selling? What does she want? Like, what are they up to? You know, so you have to be engaging in a different way. Oh, what are you here for? You know, did you just the show? You know, and you have to figure that way in to start talking to people. We've been doing the passport at NARBC shows with Snake Discovery. That's been getting a lot of amazing people involved. It's a lot of fun for adults and kids. They have to go around to 10 vendors and get a stamp. And then when they're done, they come to USARK and they get the last stamp from us. And then they get a pin that has USARK and Snake Discovery on it if you're the first 100. If not, you get a sticker. So, I mean, that's been a great way for us to spread awareness and things like that, creative ideas. At AnimalCon, I'll be at AnimalCon next week. I'm doing a whole different setup for this booth. So I am hoping that this new setup will get people more engaged. I'm doing a couple little games. I'm doing where kids can color on a page and bring it back to get a prize. And I'm going to take pictures of the kids with their, you know, their animals all colored on this page, you know, and hope that way I can get more people engaged by doing a little bit more interactive type booth instead of just check out our shirts. Yay.
And gosh, sorry, Vanessa, if you did something like that at a Pac Northwest show, Angel, that would be a huge hit, wouldn't it? We have so many kids. That's the majority of the people we see.
It's a lot of kids, and
that would be huge.
We've talked about it before, how like the kids that are coming are like they're just more into it. Like they're more knowledgeable, they're really into it. And I think it's because of a lot or the majority of these shows, you know, Snake Discovery, and even, you know, even Brian Bartek's channel, you know, rest in peace, Brian Bartek. That's, for me, I knew a lot of kids that followed that channel as well. He had great energy. Like, it's a great channel for kids too, you know, to learn a lot. But Snakes just seems to be the number one. All these little kids, they all follow Snake Discovery, and that's for me. That's something that I'll talk to them about it. A lot of kids be surprised. They know what USARK is because they hear it. They watch these channels. They know. See, they can't sign up, but but the kids, they know. They recognize it.
But they can get involved. So I used to call it my mini me's because I used to have, it was all just girls for the beginning, but now I have other like boys that want to join too. So now it's my little herpers. And I'm also working on a little award for them. So at each show, I bring a kid on stage and I introduce them and like what they're doing, you know, if they're breeding crested geckos or if they do artwork or those kind of things. And I introduce them on stage, and then I'm going to start giving them my little herper certificate. Because it has to start somewhere. And like, Could you imagine being a kid and being on stage and telling people about all your like things that you're doing and your ambition to grow in the reptile community? Like, that's our future. That is our freaking future. So I want to make sure that I grasp the kids too. But yeah, I have a spin the wheel for Animal Con and a ring toss game that I'm bringing. And if my luggage is not too heavy, I'm going to bring cornhole. I have a little portable cornhole board too. So yeah, I've got to try to pack in shirts and everything into 50 pounds is always a fun time. And then bringing your own clothes on top of that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
It's amazing. My grandkids, they know what USARK is. And they see how passionate I am about USARK. And it's almost like they're just as passionate. I mean, they've got a couple of reptiles here, but at NARBC in Texas, my oldest granddaughter was just pushing the cart around. She was having a good time because Vanessa, Phil, they made it like a good time for the kids. So I think that's also important. It's, it's not just information that's, relevant, but you make it exciting to who you're talking to and who's getting that information.
Yeah, there's a lot that goes into shows with volunteering too. Gary's seen it firsthand. To get that auction up and running, we got an hour, and really only 30 minutes before preview starts. So yeah, it's definitely a win world, but it is all worth it in the end. The auctions are definitely awesome to go to. If you haven't been to a USARK auction, join our auctions. It's a lot of fun. It's something you will never see again. If you're NARBCs, they're a little different than our California side, Super Show side. And then we have the Phoenix Reptile Expo. And hopefully soon we'll have more silent auction opportunities as well at the shows. I'm looking into apps right now so that we can do silent auction apps instead of having the paper, so people can keep a better eye on what they're bidding on the silent auction too. So lots of future stuff happening.
Makes a lot of sense. I really appreciate having you guys on here to talk about this today. And I think one thing we can take away is that for us, it costs $0 to share out about USARK. Like, it costs nothing. You can do a giveaway, like Gary has inspired us to do our giveaway and our monthly giveaway, which, by the way, we drew out a winner while we were sitting here. So we have our monthly giveaway person. Do you want me to share who it is?
Oh, yeah.
So our monthly giveaway person.
Come on.
What do you say, Gary?
Draw out a second one, and I'll donate a membership.
Okay, so our first person who is winning a USARK Bronze membership giveaway is Marquez Taylor, and I will message him here soon. He actually bought a snake from us in July.
Yeah, he was a very nice gentleman. Bought a pastel or a super stripe.
Yeah.
A pastel super stripe.
Okay, Gary, you tell me when to stop, and I'll pull out another name.
Go ahead.
All right, ready? Here we go. The other person is Noah Johnson. So Noah Johnson and Marcus Taylor.
Love it. 2 new USARK members. Thank you guys.
Congratulations.
Noah Johnson, do yourself a favor, DM me, Constricted and Addicted on Instagram. I will give you the instructions, and we'll get you set up with a $40 bronze membership for USARK. The only thing, and I say this to everybody that I purchase a membership for, is that you save the $40 to get the membership re-up next year. It's about what? A month worth of Starbucks.
Seriously, it is about a month's worth.
Yeah, depending on what your order is, it might be 2 days.
It might be 2 days worth of Starbucks. It's true.
Oh my goodness.
It's true. Well, we're going to continue to do our monthly giveaway. We'll up it at shows. We'll probably do a giveaway at a show and then a giveaway at the end of the month. So we have Hillsboro coming up next month. So we'll do another giveaway at the Hillsboro show and then another giveaway at the end of October. So we'll just keep doing what we can to help spread the word. And we really
let us know, please. That's what we're here for.
I want to
Absolutely.
give a quick shout out to D&T Retics and Chris McVicker over at New Shed Serpents. And I know that either Dax and Taylor will correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that they now offer a free bronze membership to USARK for anybody that buys an animal from them. And that may have started because of this, the giveaways that I do for USARK. Like I said, Dax will probably text me and say, we've been doing that for a long time. Maybe it's just my assumption. but I'm pretty sure that Chris over at New Shed Serpents, he now purchases a USARK membership for anybody that buys an animal from him. And I think that at the bare minimum, right? If you are a breeder and you watch this podcast, please contact Vanessa or even contact me. We'll bring flyers to your next table. I will be in California at as many shows as I can. I will bring flyers to your table so that you can hand a USARK pamphlet out. You don't even have to say anything. Just say, here, if you're buying a reptile, here's a USARK pamphlet. Just make it more available so that somebody will look at it. Because I don't know about you. Anything that has the word reptile in it has my attention. You got me at reptile, right? So, and I got to understand and believe that there's more people like me out there. If you own a reptile and you're watching TV and all of a sudden the word reptile scrolls across, you're going to stop. I'm going to stop, pause, rewind. I'm going to look at it and go, reptile. So do us all a favor. And, it's very simple. It's a very simple process. I like to complicate things, but as easy as it is just to hand a pamphlet out to somebody, we can make that very easy for you.
Extremely easy. Or you can put stickers on your deli cups too. I mean, just to have a way of people seeing USARK and being like, what is that? And then please reach out to me. Never think I am too busy to get to you. I will respond back, even if I'm on my one vacation a year in Germany. What was Gary going on over here?
Where are we going?
I don't know.
I was grabbing my I was grabbing my monitor that has my USARK sticker on it, but it's out of the light, so I couldn't do it justice.
It's okay. Thanks to both of you, we have a turtle USARK sticker that is on our freezer now that goes to shows with us. So thank you both.
Love it. Yes, we have lots of different designs. Adeline Robinson has been designing a lot of logos for us, which is super exciting. We're actually going to be having a little voting contest on what our next shirt will be. So Stay tuned. We're letting everybody pick what our next shirt's going to be. So the axolotl is almost out, and we have a new shirt coming soon.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
If you haven't visited usark.org, definitely need to check out usark.org and look at all they have on their website, from membership to alerts, everything else in between.
I can't tell you how important the shirts are. I mean, especially for identification between other USARK members, because I have USARK shirts that I've had since when I first joined, and they're the USARK logo on the chest up here. And when you get somebody that's been around for a long time and they say, oh man, that's one of the old school shirts, that's cool. I kind of like that kind of stuff, because it shows us that we've really cared about this for a long time. I think I'm going on 5 years as a USARK member. I don't remember. I think this February is my 5th year as a USARK member. But it's really neat to see people that have been around for a long, long time, much longer than 15, the 5 years that I've been, right down to the people that just get their membership, So the shirts are like a process of identification, because if you have the old school shirts, the old school USARK members, they know it.
I just odd thought, well, not odd, but because you're talking about, right, I wear the shirt. We all wear these shirts, right? We go to the grocery store. I've had people ask me, we talk. This shirt, the one I'm wearing, is fairly new. Maybe the past year this shirt came out, and I was wondering,
a couple of years ago, I think.
What if on the sleeve there was like a QR code that brought you right to, to the USARK site or something, like if someone's asking questions, like, oh, you got a QR code right on the sleeve, and they can, I don't know. It's just, again, spitballing.
Scan me.
Yeah, scan me. You want to check it out? Here you go.
Scan me.
I don't know, but like,
put it on your back. So instead of you thinking you have me sign on your back,
like, curious. Yeah, like if someone was curious, they were standing behind you at the grocery store, they could scan you. Like, I don't know, it might be just like a quick way that could, like, and they're like, oh wait, this is a real thing. Like, I don't know. It would be interesting how many people you could find out later. But like, I didn't know what it was until I scanned this guy on the checkout, and then I found out.
I love it.
you, Angel.
I would probably put the word "scan me" on it too, just so people would randomly come up and scan me.
With like a gecko next to it with a big smile.
I've seen people that have gotten tattoos with QR codes that lead to like their favorite songs and stuff. So I mean, which is crazy that QR codes are now popular. They were. I don't know how those circled back in life, but it was pretty funny because, gosh, I can't even remember how many years ago Phil was actually like all stoked about having QR codes and stuff, and nobody was using them. Like we're like, okay, well, that was pointless, and now it's like QR codes are everywhere, and I'm like, well, what? They came back. That's okay. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever works. Yeah. But it works.
I'm trying to use more of them, I guess. I have them at the show, stuff like that. I think they work, because I don't bring cards to the shows because people constantly lose them. So I just tell them, scan. I have a QR right here. It's just easier that. So I
think with COVID changed that a lot because of restaurant menus, because they didn't want to have restaurant menus, out because of having to clean them and being sanitary. So people just got used to scanning things, for sure.
But it's really good. It's convenient. People, have their phone. They have their phone in their hand anyway. Oh, okay, click. They move on. And I found the transition from cards. A lot of people ask, like, "Do you have a card?" I'm like, "No, I have a QR." Okay. And they do it because I'd hand people cards and I'd see them like, "Oh, I lost your card. I didn't know how to get in touch with you." The QR is really, really well. I think it's just easy.
I agree with you on that.
That's from an old guy who just figured it out like a year ago.
He's like, I'm in the know now.
I'm QR code everything.
Whoop, whoop. Scan this one. Scan that one. Scan this one.
Why not?
Everybody gets a scan.
That's right.
It's like the drink me in Alice in Wonderland.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's like. Scan me.
Scan me.
Well, thank you guys so much for taking time out of your Sunday to be here with us, and
thank you.
I really appreciate
Thanks
both
for
of you.
having us.
Yeah.
And if there's ever anything more we can do, don't hesitate in reaching out to let us know.
And same goes here. I'm never too busy.
We can be your Washington people up here.
Yes. Hopefully I'll make it out to a couple of those shows next year.
I'm
working on my schedule this next week. Yeah. I love the weather out there. It's so beautiful. So beautiful. It's so green and cold. It's wonderful.
You must be talking about Washington.
In January, it's going to be wet as well.
Yes.
You forgot wet.
Cold, wet.
It usually is. And my poor rental car, I'm a little romper girl. I was hauling through that parking lot pretty good with Phil, hitting every pothole. He was just like, wanted me to drive.
There are a lot of potholes in that one.
There's a lot of potholes in that one for sure. For sure. Well, thank you guys very, very much. Very much appreciated. And yeah, any questions you guys ever have, please reach out to me. That's what I'm there for. And you can Facebook message me, Instagram message me, or if you want to email me, please email me as well. I'm Vanessa@USARK.org. But yeah, my personal page is also my business page. So don't ever hesitate to not reach out to me personally.
Perfect.